Hello everyone, welcome to Sodbuster Living. Today I'm going to share with you books that maybe you haven't read in your homeschool and you would like to kind of get some ideas and suggestions. These are books that I asked my children, hey, of all the books that we've read aloud, can you go and choose your favorites? And these are what everybody brought me. They're in no particular order. My one daughter was trying to find all of the books that we read and I said, no, just stick with like the non-school books, just read aloud. So this would work for a homeschool, or this would just work if you want to start reading out loud to your children. I have 5 kids. My kids range from ages 13 down to almost 5, and I have 2 girls and 3 boys. So a lot of these work if you've got a wide range and if you have multiple, or if you have both genders. So I'm just going to start from the top. I have here Bud Not Buddy. This is by Christopher Paul Curtis, who is more famously known for the Watsons Go to Birmingham. I also have 2 boys that are a little bit more sensitive. My 2 younger boys get scared very easily, so I want to explain some of the things about this book that might be triggers. Again, I also said I have 5 kids, and so you're going to hear thumping going back and forth as people walk through. And I have 1 boy doing the dishes because it's his day. So, background wise, Bud Not Buddy is the story of a boy in foster care. And so if you're okay with like Harry Potter and pretty much any of the old classics with the strict, mean, gruesome, not even gruesome, but the strict, mean, just not so nice older people in the life, then you won't have a problem with this. I'm thinking anything Dickens, anything, I mean even Jane Eyre, then you'll be fine with this. And this, the only thing that might, I generally can't think of anything that would be a problem outside of that, other than he's a scared little boy, and sometimes he has imaginary responses. And the other thing is he has his book of rules, and his book of rules is pretty funny how he titles them. It's like rules and things, how to make a better liar out of yourself. I wanted to get it exactly right, so, but it's basically like a survival skills, and he just has rules and things, but it's like Buddy Caldwell's rules and things for a better life and to make a better liar out of yourself, or something like that. And it's just, you know, parents. Let me find one up. Rules and things number 83. If an adult tells you not to worry, and you weren't worried before, you better hurry up and start because you're already running late. So they're just little things like that. And anyway, this is one that my boys have read over and over again. At one point he is locked in the shed and he's scared that all of these things are going to come out to get him, and his imagination gets really active. But my sensitive boys didn't really, they found it funny. It was dealt in a hilarious way, but older readers could understand that this is a very scary time and some of the things that they're working through. But Bud Not Buddy is on an adventure to go to Flint, Michigan, where he believes his father is. His mother has died and he's kind of a kid in foster care, being bounced all over. And finally he's just done with the meanness. He's done with that. And he's going to go find who he believes his father is. And it's about how he gets there. One of the first ones that we've ever done as read alouds was Mr. Popper's Penguins. I had never read this before, and it's just a fun, lighthearted one. It's definitely more geared towards, I think, younger readers. I started read alouds, I think I had like a 7, 6-year-old, and 4 and 3-year-old. And even my little boy at the time, who you would think wouldn't remember a lot of it, still remembers the times when we sat down and read this. Again, it's a silly book. It's about a Mr. Popper who is a house painter, and they're always living on like poor times and tight funds, and he decides he wants to have a penguin, and then the penguin's lonely, so he needs a wife, and chaos ensues. And so it's, again, just a lighthearted, funny one. Not my particular favorite, but it's definitely one that the children really love to read and enjoy. The other one I have here is Five Little Peppers and How They Grew. This is by Margaret Sidney. And this is a family story about 5 kids. And I think, yeah, one of the reasons my kids love this one so much is that it's 3 boys and 2 girls. This is more of a classic one, and I think it's very hard to get into with younger readers. But older readers, I think, can appreciate it more. I will be honest, I think my daughter enjoyed this one more than my sons did. I don't really think they got into it, but she pulled it out, brought it forward. And again, if you like All of a Kind Family, the Moffats, books like that, then you will enjoy this one. Again, another one my kids handed to me that they really enjoyed reading. Again, this is another one of my first read alouds that I did. One of my favorite videos I ever made, because I did this reenactment of what it was like the first time I sat down and did a read aloud. I'll leave a link down below. It's not like a good quality in terms of filming and presentation. I've gotten a little bit better, I think, but it has one of the best reenactments ever that I just had a lot of fun with, what it was like when I first started reading out loud. And trust me, it's pretty much on point. Anyway, I'll leave it down below, but Charlotte's Web is the one that I use because it was the first one that we chose to start reading out loud. Actually, no, I think it was Green Ember, then we went to Charlotte's Web. It's a classic. It works for both boy and girl, younger readers, older readers. We all get a little bit out of it. And actually, we're about ready to start another round of picking this up to read with the younger ones. I have Cricket in Times Square that we're working through right now, and then we'll go on to Charlotte's Web. A Sign of the Beaver by Elizabeth George Spear. Honestly, I don't think there is an Elizabeth George Spear that we have not liked. There's only one more that she wrote that we have not read, but this is a favorite author of all of ours, and this one is kind of like a Robinson Crusoe for the boys in my boys, I should say. It's like a Robinson Crusoe story for my boys. They set up a house in the new territory. Let's see. I think they go to Maine. But they go to another territory and kind of start building their home. And then the dad leaves the boy in charge and goes and gets his wife and kids to bring him back. And the boy is on his own, and he is to watch over the cabin. And without the help of this Indian, he would not make it. He gets taken advantage of, and somebody steals the gun, which is kind of like your main item that you need out alone in the middle of nowhere. All of that. So without the help of these Native Americans, he wouldn't be able to survive. And they actually trade help for him to teach the other. What is his name? Atian. I don't think I'm saying that right, but the main chief, trades Atian's skills to teach to Matt in exchange for Matt to teach Atian to read, which they use Robinson Crusoe to do. So very fun. Definitely more of a boy book, but like I said, my girls enjoy this. Probably not so much my younger girl. She's into princesses and fairy corns and everything I'm not, but she sat still for it and didn't complain. Another one that we read, and we tied it in with our history, or I'm pretty sure it was our history. I don't remember exactly what year we did this, but this is Juan de Pareja, and this, Elizabeth Bourdon-de Trevino, and this is the story of the slave that worked for the famous artist, I can never say it, Velázquez, and basically how he really liked the paintings and ended up becoming a painter himself as the slave. So he was a painter slave who became a painter himself by following a lot of his master's skills and kind of learning. It's a really sweet story. It has some really moving scenes for me, the reader, to my children, I don't think they quite got it as much. So it's just one of those that, unlike Mr. Popper's Penguins, I can get something out of this as well as my kids just enjoying a good story. And I remember some good discussions we were having over it, especially with the Catholicism in Spain and some of the traditions that they would have. Okay, one that we actually read this year was The Brown Bow by Elizabeth George Spear. This one very much surprised me. As I was reading it, I thought I knew I would like it. Again, we haven't read an Elizabeth George Spear that I haven't liked, but when it came to the end, I just realized how much I loved it. And it was such a good biblical story. Daniel is waiting to basically for this Jewish nation to take back what's rightfully theirs. And they're waiting for somebody to lead the Romans out. He hates the Romans. He's ready for somebody to just lead them to their doom and retake back what's theirs and whatnot. And over time, at the beginning of the book, he is staying with kind of an outlaw. And he believes that this outlaw is going to be the one, and they're just waiting for the right moment, and he's building himself up. But over time, he's realizing that his friends, they're starting to follow this new prophet that is not all about taking up arms. And Daniel's very confused, and he's not sure where he stands right now. Like, part of him is like, this could be the man. He could do such great things. He has the crowd. He has the movement. He could tear them all apart. But this prophet, Jesus, is not doing the things that he thinks should be doing, and that he thinks he should be doing. And Daniel also has left his family, his grandmother and his sister, which I believe they consider demon-possessed. I think she's schizophrenia. Or Elizabeth George Spear portrays her as schizophrenia, which I thought was a really interesting twist, because one of the things that I've always wondered is what happened to the demon-possessed people, the ones that had 7 demons pulled out of them. What happened to this? Like, why don't we hear of this anymore, see this anymore? So I really thought that was an interesting take on it. Okay, I want to keep the rest of that to myself. So you got some of kind of his conflict between family and his drive as a man and all of that. So we really love this. It took us a little bit longer to get through. It's definitely thought-provoking and a little bit slower at times, but then the action would pick up and then it would slow down. But it was really good, and we all really loved that. We were all crying at the end. Another one that we love is Johnny Tremaine by Esther Forbes. I'll be honest, like, Johnny Tremaine is not a character that you like at the beginning, but you really like to see the character development of Johnny Tremaine. And this is definitely one I think my boys enjoyed more, just kind of like that. Why aren't they doing anything? Why action, action, action? Where some of these older and wiser people are like, hey, reflection. Let's think about this. Let's talk about this. Let's have a why we're doing this. It's kind of more of that. And Johnny Tremaine, just again, it's more about the character development, I think, for this story, because at first you just don't like the kind of person he is. And then as you go along and you see him grow and you see him mature, then he grows into the kind of person that you just love at the end. Okay, love might be a strong word, but definitely a fun story to read. I think for older ones, I would say. The Witch of Blackbird Pond, Elizabeth George Spear, is another one that we really enjoyed. The reason we enjoyed this is that Kit is just kind of, she is who she is, and you can take her or leave her. And she is in this Puritan times, and she is from a completely different world. And it's such a fascinating thing how the ideas of one world and the ideas of another world, or cultures of both, and bringing them together, you would think could mesh a little bit easier than what they did, but there is not. And some of the things that she's like, this is not practical, and just goes and does what she does, like, people are like, there is something wrong with her on that, and she is considered possibility a witch. Rebellious, definitely. And she goes and sees a woman that is considered the witch of Blackbird Pond, but the woman is just, she's like, I'm just different. And like Kit, she's just like, I am who I am, and I'm going to live the way that I live. And Kit comes across a ship boy, and I don't remember his name. There's a boy in here. I don't remember his name. But both of them kind of connive ways to help save Hannah the witch. And it's just a really fun one. I don't think there is anything in here that is kind of scary. Again, she is a little rebellious, so if that's kind of a hesitancy for you, use with caution. But honestly, we had to talk about it, like, this is ridiculousness, and she was trying to be respectful and all that. She just couldn't. I have a whole nother stack here, and we're already at 20 minutes, so I'm going to make a part 2 to this, just because I don't want to just throw books out without kind of talking a little bit about them. That's just who I am. I love to talk, especially when it comes to books, and they're the kinds of things that help me, rather than say, I recommend this book, we enjoyed it, I recommend this book, we enjoyed it. That doesn't tell me enough. So, please stay tuned. I'm going to have a part 2, and we'll talk about that in the next video.